Hi guys, in this video we're going to take a look at calibration of the key cutting machine and how to check to make sure that it is correctly calibrated, and if it isn't, what you need to do to make the adjustment. So first off, make sure the machine's disconnected from power. We've got it out of the Perspex cover, but it doesn't need to be. And what we're going to do, we're going to take two key blanks, both the same key blank. In this example we're using the LK1, which is always a good one to go for. And just as we would when we're setting up for a customer there, we put one blank, again keeping it nice and level there, tighten that up, and then we put the other blank, obviously the same side up, just as we would when we're cutting a key, making sure it's level and tightening it up there like that as well. We don't have to worry about the guide at all. We just push them right in so it's up against the shoulder. Okay, now we push down there just as we would again when we're cutting, and just very gently let that move up so it's resting against the gauge there. And what we're checking for here is that there is no gap there between the key gauge and the blank on the left hand side, and on the right hand side you'll see that the cutter is also right up against the key blank. Now the last thing we do to check is just using your hand. You can just move that and you can hear the cutter hitting on that key blank as we rotate it right around, and that there is an example of a machine that is correctly calibrated and doesn't require any adjustment. Now we're going to take a look at a machine that does require some calibration, and I'll just show you how that looks there when you're lining it up against the key gauge. So just as we did earlier, we put two of the same key blank in, LK1 in this example. We're going to move that up just as we did earlier in the video. Now you can see here that there's a gap between the key gauge and this key blank, but over on the other side there's no gap. So that sort of gap there, that does, as I mentioned earlier, indicate that it is out of alignment and needs some adjustment. Equally, you could have the gap on the other side. So we could have no gap here, but we could have a gap on the cutter. Either way, it indicates that you need some adjustment. So the first thing we do, loosen up with an Allen key here. Using an Allen key, we just loosen that a little bit. All that Allen key does is it just locks this adjustment knob here, makes it unable to turn. So now that we can turn it, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to turn it anti-clockwise, which pushes this guide out and into the key blank. So I'm going to give a few more turns, and I'll explain why I'm doing that when we get there. So I'm happy with that there now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start the machine up. Push that down first, sorry, and we'll put the machine, plug the machine in. Now I'm going to turn the machine on, and I'll explain it now because it's a little bit hard with the machine running. And I'm going to make an adjustment here by turning it to the right, which will move the key gauge out. And I'm going to set it just so I'm going to keep moving that and adjusting that just very fine, just until I can hear this cutter here just starting to touch onto the key blank. And that's the point where you know that the calibration has been done. So I'll turn the machine on. Again, as always, and it's not because we're not on the Perspex cover, we put the safety glasses on. So we've got the machine running. Move that up. See, there's a gap there, right, because we're moving this to the left. So now we're going to move this to the right, and if you just pull back a little bit so you can see both of them there. Just listen for it. I'm moving it to the right, just moving it in closer to the cutter. You hear that there, just touching? So that's perfect. We don't need any more than that. It's just hitting there on the blank, which is where you want it to be. Pull that out. Turn the machine on. Now this is the important bit. Very, very simple process, but important to get all these bits right. What we do now is we tighten up that Allen key. And tightening that Allen key up locks that in place, so adjustment can't be made, can't be pushed out of adjustment again. It's very, very rare that it should go out of alignment, but that's the process you run through to check and to adjust if necessary.